Okay, if you put a scan tool on your car and you're getting a P0008, P0017, you got problems with your timing chain, or it could be a timing chain sensor. If you hear a bunch of timing chain rattle, then you probably gonna need a new timing chain. But if your car's just running rough, then you might get by with just a cam sensor. But if you got rattling timing chains, that's probably not going to fix it, because that's a serious problem. And if you haven't been changing your oil and you got a lot of miles on it, then most likely it's going to be a timing chain. Okay, you got P0008, P0009, P0016, 17, 18, and 19 all have to do with the timing chains. Any of them codes that you pull up on your meter. And P0017 is pretty critical. And according to this, this is an interference engine. So if you jump too much time, you're gonna basically ruin your engine. Your valves are gonna crash into your piston, and it's all gonna tear up. So you gotta keep that in mind. So we're just gonna go into kind of the steps and what you need to do to change it out, see if you want to tackle the job or not. It's a pretty good job. I mean, I'd do it if I had to, but you definitely have to take your time with it. You don't want to rush it. Your timing marks and all that's real critical in order to get it all right. Okay, this right here is an oil solenoid valve that controls your oil flow that goes up to your cam phasers. All that works in conjunction with your computer. What it does, your cam phasers what it will do, it will advance your timing, or it will retard your timing. So you got 15 degrees one way or 15 degrees the other way. And these got little screens on it too that the oil flows through. And they're solenoids, and they move in and out, and they'll control your oil that goes up to your cam phasers. So in this video, it's just going to be to see if you want to tackle the job or not. If this is your first time of doing it, just the kind of steps of showing you how to put I'm not going to actually be hands-on, I'm not going to do it, but I'll put a link down below. A guy that does a very good job on installing the timing chain set. He really explains it really good. I'm not going to do it myself. I just want to kind of step you through what the process is. It's a pretty good job. So we'll go here to the big screen. I'll show you. Okay, before you even can start taking the chains off of this, you got to put this over here in stage 2 timing. Right now it's in stage 1 timing. What you'll have to do is rotate this crankshaft, and you'll have to have this mark over here on this side for this bank. Okay, to get you a little bit more familiar with this project here, this is right bank, left bank. It's kind of backwards. Okay, these are your cam phasers here, and your cam phaser oil solenoids goes in here. Okay, these turn on and off real fast, and they put oil into your cam phasers, and they advance your timing or they retard your timing 15 degrees either way. That helps you with fuel mileage and power, and helps your engine run better, lower emissions. But that's how all this stuff works. These right here is your tensioners. When your chain stretches, these will go out even further. Keeps tension on your chains. One on this side, one on this side. This is your secondary chains. This is your primary chain here in the middle. with your idlers. Here's your tensioner down here. So it's real important to get this engine in time. You got to have it in time. I'm not going to go through all the steps on how to do this, but this is just a quick review on if you want to tackle this job. You got to get this side in time before you take off these chains. And then you got to put this side in time. Right now it's in phase 1 timing. See your marks over here on this side over here, phase 1 timing right here. You got to have this mark over here for phase 2 timing. And you're not going to be able to just go over to here. You basically have to go all the way back around to there. Okay, on your cams, the back side of your cams, you got to have, I'll change this picture here. Okay, these right here are tensioners. Every one of them is different. Here's 2 of them right here. Each one of them are different. They got different gaskets that goes on it. They're controlled by oil. See, the oil goes in there and they pressure it up. These also have springs in it. So the more oil pressure you have, the more it's going to push on that to keep your chain tight. That's how them work. Yeah, so they push against your guides right here, your chain guide, and they push against that, and they keep this from flopping around. But as these chains stretch, these are going to come out a little bit more, and it's going to be fully extended, and then that's all they're going to be able to do. They're not going to be able to see, these are way in there. But as they stretch, they'll be going twice that much. They stretch too much, then that's all it's going to do. It'll get too floppy, and just these wear down. Chain gets too long, then these right here is going to be pushed out all the way, and you'll start getting floppy in your chain, and then it's time to get it replaced. Okay, there's your new ones, old ones. It's pretty dirty. Actually, both these look like they're used. This one's a little bit cleaner than the other one. Yeah, they're pretty dirty. Okay, here's the timing chain set. See what I mean on all your gaskets on your tensioners? All different. So it's kind of hard to get them mixed up. It goes on your crank gear here, your idler pulleys, all your guides. And this is down here by your oil pump. You just basically pull this one off, leave the seat right here, and just reinstall it. This is connected into your oil pump, and you don't want to pull them bolts out because they're pre-torqued for your oil pump. You don't want to disturb it. Okay, here's your main chain that goes in the middle here, your secondary chains that goes up and over your secondary chains that goes up over your cam phasers. Okay, here's a closer up view of this. This right here is your crank sprocket down here. Here you're in phase 1 timing right here. So you'd have to turn this back around and get over here in phase 2 timing. Okay, you can see on this tensioner right here that it's pushed out quite a bit compared to a new one. See how much it's bowed in here? So it's about used up on this one. Your guides here, it's holding tension on your, this is your main chain that goes on the bottom. Secondary chain goes up this way. Here's your, on the right side. Left side over here goes in behind it here. This your oil pump down in here. This is what I was talking about down here. These are, I think they said 13 millimeter. So these are different sizes than all your ones that's on your guides. Like here, this is a little bit bigger size. These right here, yeah, you don't want to take these off unless you're going to swap out your oil pump. And this here actually comes off with it. So your new oil pump should have this already installed. See, these are all torqued, you know, in the right position for your oil pump right here. So you don't want to disturb them. That's why you just want to change your nylon piece here. Okay, here we go again. How would you like to work on that dirty motor? Another case of somebody's not changing the oil. That one looks bad. I think I'd rather just buy another engine than have to work on that thing. See, your guides, your tensioners all sticking out there quite a ways. Yeah, that was not too bad. That one down there. My lands. That motor's junk to me. Ain't no way I'd want to work on that. You don't want all that oil in your cam phasers here. Got a little bitty small passages that's got to pass through. And what it does, it turns them cams inside there and adjusts the rotation of the cam. Okay, on this one you can see it a lot better. This is a LFX engine. This right here is your sensors, for your cam sensors right here on this side. And here's your oil solenoids right here. This is your intake side, this is your exhaust side, these two right here. Exhaust side, and this is your intake side. This is the inside of the front cover. This is where your two on each side. That's for your solenoid valves. That's the oil solenoid valves that goes up to your phasers. And right up here is where your sensors are. And your water pump here in the middle. Crankshaft down below here. So okay, if you decide to tackle this job, then the main thing you got to remember is it's got to be, you got to have it in time before you can even take the chains off. Basically, the main thing you need to remember, and I'll insert a picture here, that the back of the cams, they got to have the flat spots sticking up. You can also buy the tool that you drop down in there. It'll keep your cams at just the right position. So if you can, that's the main thing you got to remember. These marks has got to be up. If it's in the wrong position, they're going to be down. See this one here looks like it's down, or down here. But these marks, these yellow marks, got to be up. This is going to be down over here. This one's got to be either right bank or left bank. People also ask, is code P0017 serious? There are a few codes more serious than a P0017 code. Don't drive your vehicle even to the repair shop, because you can severely damage your engine. If you got these timing chains flopping around, it could jump a tooth, and this is a interference engine, and it will damage your engine. Your valves will hit into the pistons, and you have all kind of damage. You have to replace a head, a piston, basically destroy the engine. So if you got a P0017, don't even drive the car. Just park it. Get a tow truck. That's if you really hear the timing chains are rattling. That means it's done. It's time to get to the repair shop. So the main thing you want to do if you want to tackle this job is just make sure you get your timing right. That is very critical. Changing all these sprockets, the chains and the guides and the tensioners is really not that hard. These are 43 pounds. All these other little small ones are 18 foot-pounds. All these here on your tensioners, your guides, all these right here is only 18 foot-pounds. And also on your cam phasers, these two are the same part numbers. That's your exhaust. These two are different part numbers on your intakes, on your cam phasers. So keep that in mind if you need to change any of them out. If you got some it might not be a bad idea. I think they're around $50 a piece, so it's going to cost you some money. It's going to cost some money, but once you're in there, unless you have a really clean engine and they look really good, then I probably wouldn't worry about it. And mainly the teeth right here, if they're not all wore off, they're really worn bad, then it's probably best just to go ahead and change them out. Means you're already in there. And that motor will go another couple 100,000 miles. Just depends on how often you change the oil. If you never change oil, it ain't gonna last long. So on this engine right here, if we was ready to tear down, you get this over here in stage 2 timing right over here. This yellow mark will be over here. This would be down here. Your yellow marks would be over here. And your flats of your cams would be up on the back side of your cams. If you use the tools, you'll know what I'm talking about. But I'll insert a picture here so you can see what I'm talking about. But you got to get it in stage 2 timing in order to take all this off. You rotate the engine probably 1.5 times. Get over here in stage 1 timing is where it's at now. Then you're ready to start taking off this set, And then when you get ready to go back on it, you put this side on first, stage 1 timing, stick this one on, and this one here will be last. And that's how it works. So it's a pretty good job if you want to tackle it. So if I was going to tackle this job, it'd probably be best to have the engine out of the car. If you're replacing the engine, say one blowed up, say you got an engine with 75, 80,000, 100,000 miles on it, probably be best to go ahead and do this job and then change it out. But just keep in mind that when you do this, the main thing to remember is you got to get the back of your cams you got to have the flats sticking up. Both sides. You got to turn this stage 1 and stage 2 timing. Well, when you get ready to do this, you got to pull off the intake, your valve covers, you got to pull off your crank pulley, all this stuff on the side here, all got to come off. You got to basically take off the whole front of the engine, of course, get to it. But you got to pull the oil solenoid valves. They're kind of long, you've seen on the pictures. They're kind of long. You want to pull them out before you pull that cover off. So keep that in mind. So yeah, it's a pretty good job. Okay, this is the front timing cover. Here's where your oil solenoid valves go in. And see, this one here still has your sensors on it. That's the way you want it to look when you pull it off. All these bolts around there. Lots of bolts to take off. And this crank pulley, this harmonic bouncer's kind of hard to pull off. Of course, you gotta have the right tools to get it done with. And then installing this thing, you gotta have a special tool that goes in there where you pull the starter off and you bolt this piece in there, and it basically goes on your flywheel. Keeps your flywheel from turning. That way you can put this harmonic bouncer back on there and you can torque it back down. I'm not sure how many foot-pounds that is. So this is just an overview of the putting on a timing set for the 3.6 engine. Like I say, it's a pretty good job if you want to tackle it. If not, I mean, it's going to save you a bunch of money if you want to tackle that job. But if you don't get your timing set up right, you're going to be right back into it again. You got to have your timing set up right, because the motor won't run when it's out of time. Okay, this one and this one over here, the ones that's kind of highest up on the head, is your cam position sensors right here. These two down here, this one and this one, is your oil control solenoids. These are for the variable timing oil control solenoids. This is the LLT engine. This came out in the 2010 Camaro on the V6s. You can tell by the top of it here. But right here is where your cam position sensors are. Got them on both sides over there. Okay, this is inside of a cam phaser. See how it will put oil this way, push it this way, put oil into this way, and it'll push it back this way. You got a spring here that will lock it. So this part right here in the middle, you can see how it would shift either way. So that's why you got to really keep your oil clean. Take that all apart and wash it all out real good. See how oily them bolts are at the top? Okay, like I was saying, on your whatever set of timing chains you get will determine on how you set it up. One manufacturer says to put it in stage 1 timing and leave it there, put both sets on, and another manufacturer says to put it over here in stage 2 timing. That's where you rotate the engine all the way back around, back over to here. So that's about 1 1/4 turn, 1 1/4 turn, back over here to the 8 o'clock area. That would be stage 2 timing over here. So that just depends on what timing set you get. I mean, it makes sense to me, as long as you don't move your cams, you shouldn't have any interference with anything. So you got to make sure you don't move your cams. Either way works. So I guess we're going to end this video, and thanks for watching.